Olympics. The top men's gymnasts in the U.S. are in Fort Worth competing for a national title. And it's a new face atop the standings after night one when Brody Malone started to make his case for this summer's Olympic team. While six-time defending U.S. champ Sam McCulloch struggled, now with ground to make up here on night two. It's veterans and newcomers on the floor tonight in pursuit of a national title, starting right now. NBC Sports welcomes you to the 2021 U.S. Gymnastics Championships from Fort Worth. Action taking place inside Dickies Arena for the first time, and a national championship on the line tonight. Night one the other night. Now it all comes down to night two. Terry Gannon along with the Olympic gold medalist Tim Daggett and Nastia Luke. And that name, Brody Malone, Nastia, came in as one to watch. Now he's one to beat. He's atop the leaderboard.
Yeah, I'm not really sure he knew that he would find himself in that position going into day two of the national championships, but he did exactly these kinds of performances all night long. And you know what? Going into a national championships, it's tough to be on top, but it's a little bit harder to stay on top. But at the same time, I'm not sure I can picture an Olympic team without him now.
The way he performed the other night, certainly. But right now, all that pressure on him atop the standings at the moment. How about Sam McCulloch? Tim, six-time U.S. all-around champ, looking for number 7, coming in as the favorite. He's down in 7th place.
Yeah, he did not have a good night. And actually, from the get-go, it was pretty much a disaster. Kind of took a really hard shot on this, misses his regrafts, and jams his body into the mat. That had to hurt without question. And he struggled in a bunch of places. Amazing save here, but it was a huge save with huge deductions. I have to tell you that if Sam McCulloch has performances like this through the trials process tonight and then the two meets coming up in a few weeks, he won't be in Tokyo. He'll still be in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, it won't be decided here. It'll be decided at the trials, but almost unthinkable that he wouldn't make the Olympic team. But right now, needs to turn it around starting tonight. Another man who's won a U.S. all-around title, Yul Moldauer, that was back in 2017, comes in a share of second place. And when he arrived at the building, Andrea Joyce caught up with him.
Yul, you're tied for second after day one, about 2.5 points off the lead. How does that impact your approach for tonight?
Just take one event at a time. Starting on high bar, it's not my strongest event, but you just got to go out there and hit sets and fight till the end. There's 6 events, 6 opportunities to fight, so just crawl to the finish line.
So you called Thursday's mistake on Pommel unacceptable.
Yeah.
What do you need to do? What adjustments do you have to make mentally and physically to fix that?
Just be confident. That happened Thursday. Today's a new day. Attack it. It's pommel horse. Just swing loose and have fun.
All right, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Andrea, thanks. So Yul Moldauer about 2.5 points, a little more than that, out of first place. And to share a second, though, with Brandon Briones, another name that certainly gymnastics fans know, but not necessarily one you'd say, yeah, it'd be in the top 3 going into night 2.
Well, he's always been an extremely talented young man and very powerful in his own right and looked very well prepared. All of the Stanford guys actually looked great.
Several of them here competing, but Moldauer certainly a man as you look at the standings right now. And then Shane Wiskus, the top 4, Akash Modi, another familiar name ahead of Alan Bauer, and there is McCulloch down in 7th. But we talk experience, and that certainly matters on a night like this. But Sam McCulloch, more experienced than anyone at this level and beyond, looking for his 7th U.S. all-around title, but a lot of pressure maybe to at least have a great showing tonight.
Well, it's more about the great showing than winning a 7th national title, because for Sam, another title really is not going to do anything besides just add a few more medals to his collection. He's really been wanting that international success way more than the national success that he has had over the years.
And we'll start with him on floor, the 28-year-old from Newport Beach, California. He calls that his hometown and training in Colorado Springs now. Here's Sam McCulloch.
So this is an event that he struggled on as well. This was okay one. He nearly sat this pass down. Very tricky combination. way
Wow,
better.
much better.
Saw him earlier in the training before competition began, and I couldn't believe what Sam looked like. He just did not look prepared. We saw the same thing in day one of competition, but I'll tell you what, in warm-ups today, he looked a lot like the old Sam. He's battling a lot of injuries, has a bone chip in his elbow that's floating around. And that is a much better routine and a way better start for Sam Mikulak.
Came in talking about this be his final national championships, and he wanted it to be an experience that he could savor, that he could look back on and go, yeah, I really got everything out of every moment. He's got to do that tonight.
Without question. This is the pass that he really struggled on in day one. So tricky. Combination, 2.5 twisting backflip into a double front. And somehow he stayed on his feet day one. This one, darn near perfect.
And it was just really the entire performance, the same that we are used to seeing. Confident, calm, ends with the triple twist. Little too much rotation, has to take that step back. But he said, after night one of the competition, he just couldn't get into that confident mindset, and he kept trying to dodge fear most of the time, which that's never a great thing to be thinking or trying to dodge during a competition.
It's really been dominant here at the National Championships since 2013. We'll get that number for Sam Mikulak on floor in just a moment. Take you over to Akash Modi right now in 5th place after night one, 2017 U.S. Parallel Bars champ.
Yeah, he
was an alternate in Rio and does not want to be an alternate, so making his bid to go to Tokyo this time around, Tim.
Oh, absolutely. He said that he did this 5 years ago, and he did more than anybody expected of him last time, and he's going to do it again this time. And if he does that, then he goes to Tokyo because, as you said, he was an alternate.
Coming up next on doubles for Oklahoma,
Big skill right here. Very nicely done. He said the pandemic, in a lot of ways, really helped him. Good struggle right there. It's a great quality. Everything's not going to be perfect all the time, but if you can minimize the deductions when you do have a problem, big dismount, full twisting, double somersault.
You talk about the pandemic and how much, for some of these athletes, it has helped having some time to be able to focus on minor details such as the form, the execution, and that is something that he really did need to focus on going into an Olympic year. But for others, it's been so difficult having to be away from training. So many of these athletes have never taken more than 2 or 3 days off and have been forced to take weeks or months at times.
So this is very unique. Very few people in the world capable of doing this. It's a double back, but he scoots a full twist right in the middle, right there. Takes so much power, a lot of awareness, just scoots his feet underneath him a little bit too much.
We talk about the pandemic. Obviously, we talk in terms of pure sport. I mean, it's all in perspective what people have dealt with out there. But in terms of athletes, some it's, that time has helped to develop and train and everything, and some it's really hurt, especially the guys who are a little older. Sam Mikulak, 14.6 to open up on floor. So it's in green. You got green and yellow and red, just helping you compare them to the top scores internationally.
And you see that execution of an 8.4, so that's, of course, judged out of a 10.0.
And this one in red for parallel bars, 13.7 for Akash.
Yeah, a lot of deductions there, 7.6.
Let's go, Jerry!
But you know, Sam Mikulak's number, 1.25 greater than he did night one on floor exercise.
It's a big jump. All right, over to high bar, Yul Moldauer, the 24-year-old who was born in Seoul, South Korea, and was a star at the University of Oklahoma. Here he goes.
You know, this, as Yul has said, is not his best event. He just doesn't feel as home on high bar. A little bit shy of a handstand. That was nice right there. Got another release coming here. Needs to be very quick off the bar. Sometimes he drifts away too much, but that was good. Biggest deduction night one came on this skill that's coming up right here. It's a half tock. He was going too fast, and I think he's going a little fast today too. And
Same exact way that he did it night one, just way below the handstand, what the judges are looking for, just the dismount.
but that is a trademark of Yul Moldauer. Man, can he land? It is uncanny.
You expect it. How many times have you said that, right? You're
Yes.
just expecting that to happen.
Absolutely. But this is not going to bring in a big score. He's going to be after the first rotation, nowhere near the top of the leaderboard because he just doesn't have the level of difficulty. And he missed that one handstand by a lot, has some knee problems, but look at that gorgeous body position, flares his arms out to the side, and rocks the house on the landing.
And that's what we are going to see all night long from him. Not just those landings, but the execution, the form. That's really where he sets himself apart from the rest of the field and really stands out in the world even.
So you see that middle of his chest right there? That's his own brand. There you go. There's a Y and an M there. I don't know.
He knows to show it off. Yeah, exactly. Moved back to his hometown to train recently. Fewer distractions there and really focused. A new focus for him.
Field drive, swing.
Get his number in a moment. Over to Brandon Briones, the man who shared second place after night one with Moldauer, the 20-year-old, also a Stanford guy from Gilbert, Arizona. NCAA team champ, all-around bronze medal.
And he has been a kid that I've known about for a long, long time. Just very talented, explosive, and 2 nights ago, he looked like an absolute veteran. No sign of nerves at all. Nice giant swing there. There's a release for him. He'll do that same element that we saw Akash do. Very nice. Great body position. Was in the Junior Pan Ams in 2018. First in the team. Second in the all-around. Or excuse me, first all-around.
Go, Brandon, work.
Dismount, front uprise, double front. Little bit of a hop on the landing. A good, solid routine and a great start for him.
Hey, speaking of the Pan Am Championships, the U.S., the men picking up a spot, an extra spot for the Olympics.
Very, very exciting. That was a huge goal for Team USA, and they got it done yesterday, and it's all thanks to a guy named Paul Judah, who went out there and rocked the house in the all-around competition.
And to finish in the top two, got it done for an extra spot. All right, Shane Wiskus, the 22-year-old from Spring Park, Minnesota, star at the University of Minnesota, ready in fourth place after night one.
Yeah, he did not have a great competition night one. There were a lot of uncharacteristic errors for him. The thing that was also, the thing I love about Shane when he's on, he makes it look effortless.
Just like that.
Man, This is spectacular. Had one little hop on that first pass, but as you said, he's training at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs. He made that decision because the University of Minnesota decided to drop the gymnastics program, them along with Iowa. If you look at the guys that are in contention to make this Olympic team, the vast majority have had NCAA experience. Really a shame. 118-year-old program and another rocked landing.
It's been a good start to this night.
That was good.
And not just for him, but really all across the board. Night one, we saw so many mistakes, but what we talk about is, of course, they have not been on the competition floor in so long, and it's a different feeling. Of course, the equipment's the same, but not competing under the bright lights with the pressure, the expectations, the nerves in an Olympic year can get to you a little bit.
Absolutely. I saw that 13.8 in the red. So, again, this is what the scores mean. Just to give you a little guideline, excellent in green, safe in yellow, below average in red, based on the recent major international meets. Hey, you think the fact that it's a name Brody Malone as we watch him right now atop the leaderboard and not Sam McCulloch, you've got a number of gymnasts looking at this going, tonight's open. I can go get it.
Oh, and he did that right there. That is a new skill for him and super difficult.
So to answer your question, Tara, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's when you have somebody that's a 6-time national champion and they are not even in the top 3 after night one, anyone can be back on top.
I can't tell you how hard that move is. It's listed in the rule books, but doesn't really have a name attached to it yet. So, like we've seen from someone like Simone or possibly Jade Carey in the future, that could someday be the Malone. Oh my gosh. And that. Wow.
And that door just opened a little bit more.
Sure did.
Arm just buckles. And it was actually his right arm that buckled through the bottom a little bit. And so that caused him to be off the center of the bars. Another little mistake again.
So
We do. I mean, it's just the obvious, right? We talked about it at the top of the show. Find yourself at the top of the leaderboard, but you also have to deliver again. And sometimes the pressure when you are on top is just so much greater to stay there as opposed to just getting there for the first time.
different kind of pressure when your name is atop the standings going into that second night at the national championships. But 21-year-old from Somerville, Georgia, really got to know him this week. And former rodeo competitor with his brother. Shane Wiskus, 14.75 for floor.
Great number. And a phenomenal start for him.
Alex Diab, the 2019 U.S. Rings champion. 24-year-old, University of Illinois. So think about those 14 spots, but also the specialists vying for that individual spot.
That was earned yesterday by Paul Judah. You've got Alex Diab right in there on rings, Gage Dyer, Eddie Penev, great vaulters, and then the two pommel horse guys that we'll see a little later.
So this is what he did on rings.
And it runs in the family. His dad was a two-time NCAA champion as well on this event. Alex has always been extremely strong.
And talking about the Olympic team selection process, we talked about this during the women's competition, but if anyone was ever confused how it actually, processes, how it comes together,
I'm
how the
raising
team's
my
made,
hand.
it's even more confusing
Yes.
this time, unfortunately.
This has been tremendous. Great body position. Look at those shoulders right even with the rings. All of the holds were good. His biggest challenge is the dismount. Double twisting, double somersault. And pretty darn good, I'll tell you what.
Amanda won the title back in 2019 and the silver medal in 2018. So 14.55 the number on rings for Diab. You talk about those specialists. How about Steven Adorozic, the 22-year-old from Worcester, Mass, and pommel horse specialist. Silver medalist the last time these championships were held.
And he's just phenomenal on this event. Has always been a natural swinger. So extended, long and lean lines. Gorgeous. So difficult, those full spins on one arm. Nice and square to the horse. He's facing exactly the direction he's supposed to, which is very challenging to do. Dismount. And a really good job. Two competitions in a row.
Man, it was in line to earn an individual spot in the Apparatus World Cup Series, and the pandemic shut it down. Had to come home. They were worried about the U.S. saying, we're not going to allow any more flights in. Had to race home and ended up counting the qualifying from that event. So he did not get the spot there. Could still get one. 15.1, the number on pommel horse for Nedorodzik. And Brody Malone, that's a low number, 12.7 on parallel bars to start night 2 as the leader after night 1. And Brody Malone had a lead of more than 2.5 points. Guess what? It's less than a point right now. And look at that name lurking. In 7th to start, but Sam Mikulik up there within 2 points, currently in 4th. It's going to be good.
To Fort Worth and day 2 of the men's competition at the U.S. National Championships. You know, when all the gyms across the country shut down last year because of the pandemic, gymnasts got to be really creative with their training methods. And if you were to pass through Oklahoma, you would have seen some pretty amazing gymnastics coming out of a garage in Norman. That's where Yul Moldauer and several of his former OU teammates met every day. Yul told me that he never got angry or frustrated. He just kept pushing forward, and documenting those garage workouts on social media really helped. They hauled in pommel horse, they set up rings, and even though some days the garage was freezing cold, Yul says the setup was a mental lifesaver. Overall, he really believes that the situation forced him to grow up, and those daily workouts, Terry, kept him sane and focused during some pretty uncertain times.
Yeah, I think beyond sports and athletes, we all looked for that. It was some time we're going to look back on this period in our lives and how we dealt with it all, and send out our best to all those still dealing with it right now. But certainly in terms of sports, the mental aspect of sport right now at the forefront, and athletes here like Sam Mikulik willing to talk about it and what they're dealing with.
Yeah, and he said, Michael Phelps coming out and talking about depression and anxiety really helped him. He's been very open about his mental health challenges. He participated in a USA Gymnastics mental health panel. He said, I just didn't know who I was without gymnastics. Now I do, and that's better.
Different mindset entirely for Sam Mikulik, and we talk about it a lot these days. Naomi Osaka also obviously very much in the news, and athletes up front and talking about it and dealing with it. Well, Sam's made a move tonight with that floor routine and the struggles for Brody Malone at the top. So here we go. Second rotation, and Akash Modi now in 7th after this opening rotation. And he was in 5th to start.
And the reason the score wasn't as good as it could have been is because he just opens the door. He has little tiny, tiny mistakes over and over again. Has a new combination in the routine that he's really happy about. He says it showcases the kind of gymnastics he's good at right here. These are called German Giants. Very nice. Releases. Done in combination.
Again, look at the form on every single skill. Just little things. Soft knees, toes, not completely pointed.
And we may sound critical, but believe me and Nastia, those judges, pen goes to paper and they're scratching away. Right there, that hop back is a 3/10 deduction. It's a survival routine. There's no question he survived, but it wasn't great.
And that's that execution score. You know, when you look at that second part of the score and it comes from a 10.0, every single little detail is going to come out of that score. So you can do the hardest gymnastics in the world, but if you don't perform it well.
And he breaks form on all of these are called taps. Every time he taps, his body goes from an extreme shape to another. Look at the knees and feet way apart in the air. The hop back. And he knows it. He knows that he needs to improve in that area, and he's capable of doing it. It's much easier for him to have tighter form when he's just training. He says he just loses a little bit of focus in competition.
So we'll get his score in just a moment. Joel Moldauer just about set on floor. And remember, he was sharing second place going into this second day of competition, but in sixth after the opening rotation tonight.
No real surprise with him starting on high bar that he dropped down, but this routine can certainly pull him up quite a bit.
Yeah, it's sometimes misleading, isn't it? Because obviously different rotations for different athletes, and some they excel at, some they don't, and certain ones score higher.
Yes, they do. And this is one he excels at. His first World Championships, he won a bronze medal on floor, and he did it because he was so clean and his landings were impeccable. Does this great typically. Not a perfect stick though.
Almost like he's just kind of rushing through the landings just a little bit.
Ewell has some of the best flares in the world. This is called a Thomas flare, named after the great Kurt Thomas, and we lost him last year. It's a 1-year anniversary of his passing. Tell you what, he was one of my heroes and idols. Very missed. Really hard to stick a triple full at the end of floor, but he can do it.
You know, not exactly the landings that we are used to seeing every single time that he is on the floor, but nonetheless, he definitely was happy with that performance.
I think he's okay with it.
I think so too.
Yeah, no, it was very good, but it was a better routine night one, without question. Scored a 14.5. First day of competition on floor. I don't think it'll reach that number.
Might be in sixth after the opening rotation, but he actually made up some ground in terms of points. Akash Modi now 13-7 for his routine on high bar.
You see that 7.8, so 2.2 off in deductions in that routine.
Of course, obviously, a national title is on the line. National team members going to be named, but also qualifying on to the Olympic trials, which a lot of these athletes are trying to do.
That is part of tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not really trying to be your absolute best, not being at your prime here at the national championships, but still performing well enough to move on to the Olympic trials and then hopefully the Olympic team.
Brandon Briones on high bar picked up a little more than a point in that opening rotation.
Big release right here. Nicely done. Very strong athlete. A lot of great qualities. Oh, but that one was definitely far from the handstand. I don't think it got to the point of a half a point deduction. 3/10, and that one right there is also another 3/10 deduction. It's so risky to go for handstands on those elements, though. Full twisting double layout and a great stick. This is not his best event. He is really, really good and tough and consistent throughout all of his events, but high bar probably his lowest scoring event.
Hence the reaction.
So he should finish exactly in a handstand. He scoots his leg in. It's called a Takamoto. And right when his hand gets on the bar, that's where the judges are looking at. And it was a good distance away. That one was okay. He does another one right here. And watch again. Is he in a handstand? No, that's 3/10 right there. His dismount, not as difficult as some of the other athletes, but he capitalizes where he's strong. He doesn't give it away at all. Pretty good body position in the air, and bam! Don't move.
He didn't. And 13-5.
Come on, Brody, let's go.
In that safe area.
3.5 less than he did night one.
Him cheering for Brody Malone, who'll be next over there. Yo Moldauer, 14.3 for his floor exercise. So we take it to the leader after day one, Brody Malone. He was making a name for himself this week, but you would imagine, knowing that he's got some pressure on him now, too. This one's got to be good.
Yeah, and this is the most difficult routine that he has. He'll do 2 very big releases, and then he'll combine a couple releases. Double back over the bar with a full twist, laid out. Perfect. Another one, this one in tuck. Woo, that was far. And here we go. Now watch, he'll connect this together. Oh, that was spectacular. Another release right here. Really nice. Right to that handstand position. That one a little bit shy, but I would say only 1/10 of a point. Yeah. If we were doubting him after P-bars, not so much now.
Just when he needed it. Nastia, there are some things that are just cool to watch. That qualifies.
Absolutely, especially for that first routine. And, we're so excited to see him on top after night one, and then just not quite being able to live up to that expectation and the pressure that he had. And this is the perfect way to turn the page.
2021 NCAA all-around high bar champ.
Just absolute high flying, great stuff. Watch the body position. Really hard to keep exactly straight. Beautiful height. And then he connects it right away. That's called a Lynch, named after great American gymnast Jair Lynch.
And these are the types of skills that we saw him do night one. To go out here and truly compete like a veteran, double twisting, double out, eyes the floor. I'm not going to say you're lying, Tim, but...
We know what you're thinking. And if that door was opening a little bit, he may have closed it with that effort. That was spectacular.
Shaq? Remember you were telling us to check out the General for car insurance? We all thought you were losing it.
Made by Brody Malone on high bar. Look at that number.
15.050. That score at the last World Championships put him on the top of the podium. It beats the gold medal routine.
Wow. And that lead, which was down to less than a point, back up to over 2.5 points. But we're waiting on Sam McCulloch to go here in fourth after this opening rotation. So, remember, he started the night in 7th. Could this be a night when the 6-time U.S. all-around champ vaults up the leaderboard? Pommel horse here.
Kind of ran out of gas in night one. And really kind of botched his dismount. But Sam is great on pommel horse. Very capable. Oh, no. Oh. And I said it earlier in the night, he's been dealing with a wrist injury that it makes horse hard, and also he has a floating chip in his elbow that sometimes can get locked in place, and when that happens, he says it's excruciating. He's out for a week to 3 weeks.
We talk about the endurance, Tim, as you mentioned, kind of running out of gas at the end of the routine yesterday, but when you're not able to do these routines for a week to 3 weeks, you're not able to obviously have the repetition, and that's when the endurance, of course, is built. Good recovery there.
That's very surprising to me. I know that skill that he fell off on is very painful if you have wrist pain, but it's usually the kind of skill that someone like Sam can always figure out a way to not come off on.
What you're watching right now, part of that new mindset that he's trying to get into and just enjoy, just savor every moment here, is what he says is his last national championship. We'll get the number as we move on here in Fort Worth. Looking forward to doing this summer, watching world record holder Caleb Dressel go for a half dozen swimming medals or more. The Olympics come your way beginning July 23rd, live from Tokyo on NBC. Part of that path to Tokyo right here in Fort Worth. So Brody Malone, look at the lead, back up to 2.65. And Sam Mikulik down where he started in terms of placement, at least, in 7th. But Shane Wiskus now has made his way into 2nd place, and going to take a look back at the effort on pommel horse and how he's gotten there. 2 rotations in now, night 2, 8 rotations in overall.
And Shane is absolutely a contender for that 4-person team. Made his first world team in 2019 and was a solid contributor. Little bit of form here and there. Once again, you see the knees bend a little bit. Here's his dismount. Little bit of a hesitation there. Judges want to see really good rhythm from the very start of pommel horse to the finish.
7.95 in terms of execution.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Yeah. To the point. 13.25 is the number, and it's still Brody Malone who leads the way. With a 22-year-old from Oklahoma, Gage Dyer, who is another one of those specialists who'd love to pick up that individual spot that the U.S. has now earned the extra spot at the Olympics. And on vault night 1, he shared first place, 14.7 the number, along with Brody Malone. So just about set to go.
And to qualify for that spot, you need to do 2 on vault, because that's what you'll do in an Olympic final. He stuck both of them really hard. Oh, boy. Not quite as good at all as night 1. This has the highest start value of any vault being done on the floor, a 15.6. But night 1, no movement at all. He didn't get that twist all the way around, right? Nastia?
I would say that sometimes at a national championships they can be not as picky, but let's look at his feet, where they... It's tough to tell a little bit from that angle, but it's not just his shoulders and his chest, but exactly where his feet land.
And also, it was a little scary because he kind of locked that left leg out, which is a recipe for ACL repair. 3 times around here. Handspring, double front. Very nice.
How tough is it after you struggle on the first one to come right back then?
Well, I never did 2 vaults because
No, but
vault
I
is
mean-
not my thing, but absolutely, no matter what event you're on, you're trying to just move on, you know, and you can't help but think, what did I do on that last vault that I could have done better? How could I have stuck the landing like I did the first night?
All right, take you over to Yul Moldauer, who's about to go on pommel in third after the second rotation. 3 points back now.
And it looked to me like he ran out of gas. Yul says it absolutely was not the problem. Said he was having back spasms all day long, and it was difficult for him to generate the right kind of swing on these flare elements. Everything you do in flare, it gives you an extra 1/10 of a point, and he has got a boatload of flares in this routine. Oh no! And once again. And that right there, that was fatigue, because he's just exhausted at the end. And beautiful work though, but just so much of this flare work, and he's supposed to zoom up to a handstand right there. He'll lose a full point off for that.
So close to the end, too.
Yeah, so close.
Yeah, that was the end. I mean,
you're living and dying with him. The crowd was as well. And just gets to the end and can't get there.
He said he was actually... said it tore him apart, actually, because he came into this competition, he had hit so many routines, felt confident on the pommel horse specifically, so he's obviously going to be even more disappointed with that one.
Over the floor, and Brandon Briones, you see where he is after 2 rotations tonight.
he is a very powerful young man. Nice double front with his legs straight or in a pike position. Combination run here. He's got some hops, but they're all 1/10 hops so far, I would say. And there's a stick. Basically, you got a foot. If it's bigger than a foot, they're going to take 3/10, and I would say all of them that he had so far were the 1/10 variety.
And another one there, and especially on that element is probably one of the easiest. So perhaps just a lack of complete focus.
Big dismount, full twisting,
there you
double.
go.
That's what you want to do. Last thing the judges sees, they see a stuck landing like that. Maybe they were saying one of those landings would have been 3, and then they're like, you know what? No, I don't think so. Really difficult at the end. A full twisting double somersault done the Arabian salto half out way. Very nicely done, Mr. Briones.
See, you're saying it's going to affect what they saw earlier, man.
It can, yeah. You know, because a lot of times they write a 1 or a 3 down and they're like not exactly sure, and it can impact. They'll never admit to that, though.
I'm going to go positive, not negative, because that landing was so good, yeah. All right, so we'll get the number there in a moment. Yul Moldauer disappointing over on pommel horse, 13.25. The execution there, 7.35.
2/10 better than night 1, though.
Even with the trouble late.
Yeah.
And Briones, 14.35.
Get it, Brody!
Very nice routine for him. A little bit higher than night 1 as well for him.
So remember, he was in fourth going into this rotation, a little more than 3 points off the lead as we go to Alec Bauer in fifth after the second rotation. Setting up on vault. 26-year-old from Arizona. From Norman now. The 2018 U.S. all-around bronze medalist.
So we'll do a Kasamatsu with 1.5 twists, so 2.5 times around. And this is not easy for him, but he has an uncanny ability in meets. It's crazy. It's like, that is so hard to do. To stick that, and some of the other guys, they have more power.
Now, Steve, you're waiting for the step, and it never came.
Well, that's exactly what. Look at this. Watch him just almost eye the ground over his shoulder a little bit.
But that's confidence, though. Going for a landing like that, because it's so easy to sit that down. He's patient. He waits for it because his body's coming in at a big angle, and he's just patient, and his chest, hips, they rock up to the right position.
Confidence, but also technique, right?
Oh yeah, sure.
Brody Malone getting set on floor. We've talked a lot about him as a kid competing in rodeo and that team roping with his younger brother, and he said, the biggest thing that does carry over that competitor mentality, like in gymnastics, it's all on you. And here we go.
Really difficult first tumbling run, and wow. Had his biggest seduction on floor on that pass night one, but that was spectacular. And that's what he was doing night one. He was kind of rebounding on the landings.
We've talked about these athletes not competing in a long time, but the other thing to add is some of the pieces of apparatus are actually a different brand than they are used to training at home.
And floor is one.
Exactly.
This is a much bouncier floor than what they typically compete on.
For some, that's a good thing. For others, it's a little bit harder to control, and then especially being on the podium as well gives it even more of a bounce. It's almost like he's not just bending his knees on the landing, as you mentioned, not having that patience and waiting for that landing to come.
Well, he survived, but that wasn't great for him. He can be much, much better.
Keep track of the points as we go forward. A little more than 2.5 points in the lead going into this rotation. So get his number. And how about that? 9-3 execution. 14.5 for Bauer into third place overall. Back in Fort Worth, Sam McCulloch, the 6-time U.S. all-around national champion. 7th going into this rotation, ready on rings.
He said, with all the stops and starts with the pandemic, everything started to ache and creak. He said he used to have WD-40 coursing through his veins, but he said that went completely away. Pretty nice start. Always been very, very good in this position. All the legs together planned. Now some swinging elements. Back up rise to a straddle L. Looked a little gassed. Night one, and you can see his arms are kind of shaking in that handstand, but he's doing a better job dealing with it tonight.
There you go.
That's the pose we're used to at the national championships from Sam McCulloch.
He was fighting, though, I'll tell you. He was.
After day one, he said, when you're calm, cool, and collected, mistakes never happen. And that's exactly what he was here on this routine. Just the dismount. Double twisting, double back. Look at him just spot the floor right here. Perfection.
Yeah, that was great. He's capable of doing that. He's a great lander as well. He just kind of has that sixth sense, or a little bit like a cat, always able to put it to his feet.
So Sam looking for a good number. This number right in the mid-range, 13.9 for Brody Malone. Remember that floor exercise.
Let's go, get big!
A few problems there. Cheering on his teammates right now. But Shane Wiskus was in second place going into this rotation. Before Sam McCulloch went, it was Wiskus on rings.
What you're looking for are perfect hold positions, but also at least 2 seconds hold on every element. That one's very nice and held for enough time. Another very nicely done back-up rise to across. His shoulders didn't lift up at all. Really had to hold that. And he did that because his swing wasn't exactly on. And if he had bailed earlier after just 2 seconds, he would have picked up a tremendous amount of swing. Same dismount we saw from Sam McCulloch. Double-double. And really nice. Just a small step on the landing, but pretty darn good.
I said historically day two has been a more comfortable day for me, so I'm looking forward to putting some bigger scores and better performances together.
He was in fourth place after the opening night. Saw that number and the number from McCulloch, 14.2. So we continue with this third rotation here. Night 2. Akash Modi ready on floor.
So once again, talking about the execution, the form, and especially the landings here. For Akash, he has always been just so impatient.
And that's an example, Nastia, right there. That's a very easy element for him. And no question he should be able to stick that one for sure. Said his body before the pandemic, Little Hop there, was really starting to break down, and so he said it was good for him. He got some time, got to heal up.
He actually said that he was actually 50-50 about continuing gymnastics when he heard that the Olympics, almost a stuck landing, that the Olympics were going to be postponed, and then he said, I just thought, am I really going to let myself miss out on the opportunity like this for just one more year?
Yeah, it's been a long time since he's competed, though. Some of these athletes, I mean, for him, last competition was the Winter Cup back in early 2020. And prior to that, the 2019 World Championship. So it's one thing being in the gym. It's another in under the lights in competition. We'll get his number and continue on from Fort Worth in a moment. So we move on to rotation number 4. Brody Malone still the leader. Lost about 0.2 of a point. Shane Wiskus in second. Brandon Briones in third. Wiskus got 3 strong events still coming up. So we'll see if he can make a move at the leader throughout night 1 and night 2. Brody Malone. National Championship on the line. It is night 2 here in Fort Worth. Terry Gannon along with Tim Daggett, Nastia Lukin, and Andrea Joyce. It has been Brody Malone, the 21-year-old from Somerville, Georgia, and a two-time NCAA all-around champ at Stanford. He's had the lead. He was terrific on night one and now continues to lead here through 3 rotations. Night 2, Shane Wiskus, though, could make a move here. Brandon Briones in 3rd, and Sam Mikulik currently in 6th place, the 6-time U.S. all-around champ, coming in as the favorite in his last national championships. But work to do as we take you over to Brandon Briones in 3rd after the 3rd rotation. Ready to go on pommel horse, and Briones, the 20-year-old, also a star at Stanford.
And you know, if nerves are going to play a part, it happens here typically for gymnasts on the pommel horse. It's a very tricky event. He's so strong. Little shy of a handstand on that. I'll tell you what, though, he has been competing like he has been at the senior level and been here, done that many, many times. Oh, boy, he was off. That was a very good fight. Just the dismount. Wow. That was so close to coming completely off the horse.
Just like the balance beam on the women's side, one of the most important things that a coach can really teach the athlete is no matter what, no matter how much you might be off, keep fighting for it. Always easier, of course, to jump off, especially in training, and then that becomes kind of almost muscle memory when you're in a competition.
So Briones, who was in a share of 2nd after night 1, a little more than 2.5 points off the lead here. 3 rotations into night 2. All right, over to vault. Eddie Henev, 2017 U.S. vault and floor champ, and the 30-year-old who late in his career now, but a number of guys, including him, hoping to get the extra spot that the U.S. has earned at the Pan American Championships this weekend. So 14 members going to Tokyo, plus an individual spot.
Absolutely, and he is very much in the hunt. Great vaulter, very intricate here. He'll actually do 2 vaults, but we're only going to get the chance to see one of them. He can do that better, though. Landed a lot better.
But what sets him apart here is the form. You know, he gets so high in the air, but also just the execution. The toes are so pointed, knees are straight.
It says this most likely will be his last season. If you look at the number for Brandon Briones, 13.3 for pommel horse.
And that's okay for him. He actually got just about the same score in night 1. And the routine, night 1, was, I would say, a good bit better than that one.
Boy, you've seen some fight from Brody Malone, who, you know, at times has had a mistake or two. Tonight saw his lead cut into, but he's come back strong. Some mental discipline and toughness as the man on top of the standings heading into night 2.
You know, maybe he just needed to get that one mistake out of the way on that first event, because he has been confident and consistent since then.
He's capable of doing a new element. I don't think he's going to do it. I think it's a good decision for him. The mistake on parallel bars, I think, was because he had something that was really stressful early on in the routine, and it's a relief when you get it done, but this routine is brilliantly composed. He doesn't have the typical body type of someone that's great on pommel horse, but boy, does he make it work. And when I say that, he's stockier, and his arms, you know, they don't go together enough when he's putting him behind his back, and that makes horse really challenging.
How about the determination, too, to fight through tonight?
Nice, right up to the handstand. Does this extra turn right there. That gives him another 1/10 of a point. His body type, it helps in so many events. But on pommel horse, it's really a liability, and it is such a tribute to him, his hard work, dedication, that he's able to come up with a routine that gets the job done.
Menev's number 14.5 on vault. One of the things that athletes are trying to do is qualify for the Olympic trials in a couple of weeks. He already did that earlier with a score of 15 on floor, which was extremely high. In fact, might have won a medal at the 2019 World Championship. So we're going to see him at the Olympic trials when the team eventually will be picked. Brody Malone, that execution score 8.15 and 13.95 overall for pommel horse. And here is a man who's won a U.S. all-around title. That was back in 2017. Yul Moldauer was in second coming into the night. He's in fifth after 3 rotations. Definitely one of those names that you would expect to be vying for a spot at the Olympics in Tokyo.
Certainly should be. No question about it. He was great here, night one. One of the top scores of the evening. Yul also doesn't look like one of those super strong guys, but the thing he's got going for him is he's so light, and everything on still rings, it's all strength to weight. So if you weigh more, you got to be even stronger. Really nice position there. We'll do a swinging element right into another strength part. Really has improved on this event. Showing everything off. Really tricky right here. Got to land right in that cross. See him open his hands there? That's telling the judges my wrists are not on the rings, which shortens the lever arm and makes it easier. And so, being gymnastics, they take off for that. He's a sticking machine. Not tonight here.
Seen him do it so many times, you just expect it. The little hop, though. NCAA champ as well, former star at the University of Oklahoma, Yul Moldauer, and we'll get the number and continue from Fort Worth in a moment. Moldauer, who was in fifth going into this fourth rotation of the night, the number on rings.
A very good one, actually.
In green. Everybody trying to keep pace with Brody Malone. Do a little extra.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tape some ankles, too.
I don't always see that.
Not just
Good
competing.
teammate.
Yeah. We got so many Oklahoma guys here and Stanford stars competing this week in Fort Worth. First time ever here in Fort Worth. And brand new arena. Dickey's Arena here opened in 2019. So this one of the first major events here. Beautiful building. All right, Akash Modi in seventh going into the fourth rotation. The 26-year-old. Morganville, New Jersey, and a couple of NCAA all-around titles at Stanford for Akash.
So he's going to look to be confident and patient. He says, sometimes I get squirrely with my form. That's his word, not mine. He's capable of doing it with nice locked legs, but sometimes he just gets going a little too fast. This can be a good scoring event for him. Very nice so far. I thought they were a little bit harsh on him on the evaluation in day one. Pretty good knees. Kind of has a reputation for having soft form. But in my opinion, that was great.
It's frenetic, isn't it? It's just frantic. Once they start, if it's successful.
2.65 off in day one, and that should not be 2.65. No way.
This is definitely an event that He talked about really trying to work on his form during the pandemic, and it looks like it has really paid off here.
Yeah.
And the patience that he needs to maybe work on a little bit more on the other events, those landings that we saw on the floor exercise. Had plenty of patience here.
Now, Shane Wiskus in second place after 3 rotations, just under 2.5 points back. Take you back to his effort a few moments ago here on vault.
Very common vault. Woo. That was close, huh?
It was close. It almost looked like he didn't even make it all the way around. You see that penalty, 3/10 there. Stepped outside the lines.
Yeah, he has not been vaulting well here, and he can really do that excellent, and oftentimes sticks it without a problem.
All right, how about the effort as well for Sam McCulloch here in the 4th rotation?
Same exact vault that we saw from Shane. And he'll take that right there. Great landing. Going to be a good score for him.
5.2 difficulty in the 9.15 execution, so he ended up 14.35. Sam started the night in 7th, trying to work his way back, and certainly has had his moments tonight.
Yes, he has, without a doubt. And he's got his 2 best events, in my opinion, coming up next.
So in 6th at the moment, and Alan Bauer in parallel bars, 4th place heading into this rotation. Take a look at the effort.
I feel bad, because I always say the thing about Alan is he doesn't really knock your socks off, but he is so consistent and just chips away routine after routine. Doesn't have the highest scores on any event, but all across the board, he's consistent, just waiting for somebody to make an error. Release here.
But again, when you're putting together an Olympic team, sometimes having somebody like that is just so consistent, so reliable, you know that they can go up in a team final competition where it's 3 athletes up on each event. All 3 scores have to count.
And he has been so close to making major teams world championships, but has always finished out of the money. Double pike, small hop. Really solid routine for Alan Bauer.
Yeah, the Olympic team will be chosen in a couple of weeks at the Olympic trials, and tonight you're trying to earn a spot to get there, but also leave an impression. All adds up in the minds of the selection committee. 13.7 the number there. Akash Modi on pommel horse 13.4. 7th place overall for Modi as we continue from 4th berth. Brody Malone getting set on still rings. Terry Gannon, Nastia Luke, and Tim Daggett, and Andrea Joyce here, night 2 of the U.S. Championship. So 4 rotations in, and there's the lead for Malone, the 21-year-old from Somerville, Georgia.
The second place man for USA PTC.
But 3rd through 6th is separated by just a little bit more than a half a point, 6/10. It is tight, and those positions are Olympic positions.
You know, but I started the show with basically saying you can't imagine at this point of the competition, almost 2 days through, an Olympic team without him. If he can just have 2 more days like this at the Olympic trials, I really can't see that not happening.
He's not an entirely new face, Brody Malone. He won the U.S. Junior All-Around Championship back in 2017, but he is emerging on the senior level. I mean, this stage, this week, he's taken it by storm, and what a time to do it leading up to the Olympics.
Had a great routine, night 1, the 2nd highest score, with a 9-0 execution. In today's world of gymnastics, 9-0 execution, that's brilliance. Nice position. Certainly got the 2-second hold on those. Good rhythm there. So strong right there. He's got excellent job here. Just the dismount remaining. Double-double. Oh! And just the smallest of hops, though. That one, I believe it'll be only 1/10 of a point. But another big routine for Brody Malone. So every strength part has to be 2 seconds. 1, 2, no problem. Another one right here. I should say 1 1,000, 2 1,000. In my book, all clear.
It's been really fun getting to know him this week. Quiet, unassuming, grew up in a small town in Georgia, and now here this week really experiencing all of this for the first time.
My favorite might have been when he got to talk to Andrea. The first day of competition. He just said he was a little nervous, didn't know what to say in the most endearing way.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Yul Moldauer, set on vault.
Same vault we've seen so many times. Kasamatsu with 1.5 twists.
Wow. There you go.
Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, wow. Really, really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Saw that celebration in the background, and then he joined.
This takes courage to do this vault this way and to be faithful enough to go with that landing. If he is just a few degrees further back as he's hitting, he sits down.
But just exactly what he does on so many of the other events. Look at this. Just the confidence that you have to have, as you mentioned, the technique, everything that goes into this vault. So difficult to perform the way that he did, especially when you're nervous, right? It's one thing to do it in training. Yeah. It's another thing to perform it on the stage.
And the trust. 14.45, the number for Yul Moldauer. And Brody Malone, 14.55 in green there for the upward on rings. Just will not relinquish. So, over to Alan Bauer now. In third after 4 rotations, just a little more than 3 points onto the lead. The 26-year-old who started the night in 6th. High bar coming up.
He was actually shut out of the Oklahoma gym like everybody else for a very long period of time. They were traveling all over the place. Sometimes in Yul's garage, as Andrea reported earlier. Big release right here. Very nice. Does this beautiful full spin and then another full spin on that one arm. That, however, was at least 3/10 off. Got to go right to a handstand.
Right there again.
He can stick a lot too.
Almost didn't quite bend his knees on the landing. But another hit routine, and of course those few handstands that were a little short, but once again, he is just so reliable going up on pretty much any event and just knowing that he does it with ease, he does it with confidence. And here's that dismount, so a double layout with a full twist. We've seen some guys obviously do double twisting, double layout, even triple sometimes, but the body position there, a little soft on those knees right before he hits the ground. But again, just put another check by, another routine there.
His mom was a star back in the day at Nebraska. His sister competed from Missouri.
Let's go, Matt. Come on, Matt. Let's go.
Meanwhile, Alec Yoder, we talk about specialists, certainly a specialist, pommel horse champ in 2018, and was vying for that top spot on night one. Came up just shy. Let's see what he did here tonight.
He has beautiful swing. He'll do another full spin right here. Gorgeous. Look at the extension and how high his hips are above the pommels. That's the body type that I was talking about. Contrasting that to Brody Malone's. He's built for this event. Has really worked hard at it as well, but gorgeous, gorgeous stuff right here from Alec. Just the dismount, flies up to the handstand, and that was a keeper.
Coaches love it. Teammates love it. And expectations very high on that for Alec Yoder. So the number 15.05, and throughout the night he's already qualified to go compete at the Olympic trials. We'll see him there, but a specialist here trying to put in a bid. And Alan Bauer, what do you make of that number?
Well, that's they took 3 on both of those for sure, and he also had a little bit of knee bend.
Looking at that execution, 7.6.
Yeah.
That's a little low there.
About 0.3 less than he got in night one. He's got a strong event coming up on floor, though.
So 2 rotations left for Sam McCulloch. Parallel bars coming up. 6-time champ in 6th going into this rotation.
And his biggest fault of night one came here on a super difficult combination. Missed his grip and just body slammed into the floor.
Been unbeatable in the U.S. all around since 2013.
This is actually one of his best events, and he blamed the pressure just got to him a little bit night one here.
This is tricky for him. Oh boy. Great fight. And this combination is where he had problems. Right here, he kind of fumbled his grip. Great tonight. Oh boy. Just clipped the bar. Half a point deduction for that when you kick the apparatus. Dismount, double front. Oftentimes does that with an extra half turn. I'll tell you what I think, though. I believe that this competition, 2 meets in a row, is going to help him with his endurance. Watch the leg. He catches it on the bar.
Both sides, actually.
Yeah. So he'll lose a half a point for that, and he'll also get deductions because his knees were a little bit bent. But it's still going to be a good number because, I mean, he's phenomenal on this event.
Since 2013, hasn't lost an all-around in which he's competed in. Yoel Moldauer 2017 won it, but Sam just did a few events that year. Kosh Modi up to the rings.
Very strong as well. So he worked on all of these strength positions and his downtime. He told me, I'm definitely stronger. And that was good, but we saw Yoel Moldauer do that, and he arrives above the cross position and then has to lower down. And those judges are looking exactly at that. Also does a double twisting double somersault and a big hop backwards. So I don't think we've seen him stick any dismounts. Probably stuck his pommel horse, but that doesn't count.
You thought he was underscored on pommel horse, though.
Oh, he was underscored on horse, yeah.
So we'll get the number in a moment for rings. Sam Mikulic's number 14.35. He's got one rotation left here, perhaps in his career at the national championships. Back with a look at the number for Akash Modi on still rings, 13.95. Number Modi in seventh going into the second to last rotation.
Stanford grad. Physics is his favorite subject, but don't let that fool you. Favorite television show? SpongeBob SquarePants.
You go together, you know. It's not mutually exclusive. The fact that you know that, though, is a little disturbing.
I saw him ever since he was a little boy.
Right.
Yeah, we did gymnastics with my son.
By the way, we saw that number for Sam Mikulic. He goes into third, but you do have a couple of those above him in the standings still to come in this rotation, including Brandon Briones and Wiskus.
Let's go, Rob! Let's go, Rob! Let's go, you got this! Get after it now!
Cheering right now. All right, over to Brandon Briones in fifth after 4 rotations. Guys, he's been very good the 2 nights here in Fort Worth.
Yeah, he's performed like there's no pressure, and that's really hard to do. I mean, he's in college. He's not a young kid, but he doesn't have experience at this level in the senior competition. This should be a walk in the park for him, though. Really hard to have a bad ring routine.
There's no ring routine that looks like a walk in the park to me.
Look at you, Terry.
Well, when you got muscles like that, though. Really good body position on that. A little bit high, maybe a tenth of a point, but it was so close. Some swing elements now. Look at this. Arms are completely off the straps. That's an excellent quality, especially at the end of the routine. Just got to find that landing. Really good job. Once again, it doesn't look like anything bothers him, does it?
No, it hasn't. 20-year-old from Arizona. So we'll check out his number in a bit. One more to go here in this rotation, Nasty.
Yeah, he said he really tries to not think about it too much, but of course the Olympics is definitely his end goal, been his dream for a while. But you know, when athletes say that, I find it a little hard to believe. It's almost impossible to not think about it too much.
Many won't admit it, but no doubt the Olympics in the forefront of their minds, especially right now as we get closer and closer. Shane Wiskus, remember, in second throughout much of the night, and after the total of 10 rotations going into parallel bars.
Had the highest score on this event, night 1. He's gorgeous on this event. Just has a great feel for it. Beautiful body line. Look at the toes. So extended. Underbar skill. Very nice. Front 1 1/4 right here. And he travels to the end of the bars. So he's going to go from this end nearly to the other end of the bars. Wow. Did he hit his feet?
Like
Yeah.
his foot on the floor.
That's a shame. He does that skill so well. Oh boy, little shy on that handstand too. Oh no. Woo. He didn't have a great skill. The front uprise before that dismount wasn't at his typical height, and so didn't have as much swing going into the dismount as well. But the hitting on the floor, that is costly.
Shane Wiskus has long had a whiteboard up with days until the Tokyo Olympics. Had to add a year. Got a new board up there with many more days.
So this is awesome. Look, he flies from one end to the other, but look at his feet. He just catches that right foot, and it's actually more than I thought it was. It's definitely a half a point there. So we saw Sam McCulloch falter on this skill a little bit, and Shane, both of them great P-bar workers.
We'll see what that cost him. We'll get the number as we move forward to the last rotation. Number 6 coming up here with a national championship on the line in Fort Worth. 14-2 for Briones as he tries to keep pace. Remember, he was 5th going into that rotation. Get the number for Wiskus straight ahead. There is the man who looks like he's on the verge of his first U.S. all-around title. Brody Malone in first in the lead, now up to 3+ points here with one rotation left, and he'll be on vault. Here we go into the final rotation, and it's been all Brody Malone. Look at the lead, more than 3 points. Good race for second, though, between Shane Wiskus and Joel Moldauer, and Sam McCulloch looking for title number 7, going to fall short currently in 5th. And Brody Malone, guys, will be on vault in this last rotation.
Yeah, and that's kind of a no-brainer for him. He can fall down twice, which is hard to do on vault, and still come away with the title.
Wait, you've done it, is what you're saying?
I could pull that off, but not Brody. But I'll tell you what, Sam McCulloch, he is still in the hunt for either second or third because he is potentially fantastic on high bar.
Alan Bauer in 6th heading into this final rotation, ready to go on floor.
All about the landings. Minimize the movement when you hit the floor. Call that one a 1/10 hop. Do a double, twisting double. Very nice, but 1/10 as well. Toes close to that line. The line is in, though. You have to go over it to get an additional deduction, which he did not. You're required to do a non-acrobatic skill like that circling skill that he did, or this one also fulfills it. He's done just a phenomenal job. They don't know, but they believe that he has a torn labrum in his shoulder. And if it was anybody else but Alan Bauer, you would have noticed a bigger difference. Really good job. What a fighter. 12 long, hard routines. Dealing with that shoulder. He'll get a little bit of a break.
Nasty, I don't know how many times you actually compete where you're 100% healthy. You're always dealing with something, but an injury like that, to go out there, do some of these skills, it's incredible.
It really isn't. But you're absolutely right, Terry. You know, it's the amount of training that you have to do every single day, day in and day out, to be able to perform at this level. It's really tough to not just even go out and compete without aches and pains, but just on a daily.
This is patented Alan Bauer gymnastics right here. Minimize the deductions. Triple twist. Proud of this young man dealing with tremendous adversity and gritting through.
14.4 the number for the effort here in the final rotation for Bauer. In 6th before that routine. Now, Akash Modi currently in 7th, right behind going into this final rotation.
Nasty, we've been talking about his landings. He's got one more shot.
Prove us wrong here. Come on.
Get it.
Oh, yeah! On cue. There you go.
I'm so thrilled to see that for Akash.
That was live, everybody. We didn't get to see that before.
Oh, boy. Very, very popular ball. You see this all the time. Has a maximum 15.2 start value, but that's what Akash has been looking for all day long. That stick right there.
There you go.
Yes, it
He's
is.
saying the line for you.
Don't you be stealing my lines, Akash.
Got that copyrighted. You're going to have to pay him, Akash. That's cool.
Entry position, let's go.
14.45 the number for that vault. So Sam Mikulik in his final event here, final rotation here at a national championship that he says going to be his last. Looking for overall win, all-around win number 7, going to fall short, but he's tremendous here on high bar. In fact, he won his first individual world medal in the high bar final back in 2018. Finally broke through with that medal. There we go. And was better than anybody on night 1.
Does a lot of the same things we saw from Brody early on. Big flying releases right here. The big one. Nicely done. Got another one. This one in tucked position. Double backflip over the bar. Now, another big release. Laid out Tkachev. Oh, boy. Gorgeous. Just beautiful gymnastics. You're a foolish person if you're counting Sam Mikulik out at this point. He showed a lot of his old self today. We didn't see much of it night 1. But today, fantastic. Gymnastics 101, fly high and stick the landing. Been waiting for that one to give it to Sam Mikulik.
What a way to close it out. If you're going to fall short, you go down fighting and taking it right to the end with that effort.
Absolutely. Won't win his 7th title here, but he said, I really don't feel like I need to be the best in the world right now. This competition solely for the purpose of qualifying to the Olympic trials and, of course, hopefully the Olympic team.
But that was one of the best that you're going to see.
Oh, that can win a medal at the Olympics right there. There's one skill that he's capable of doing, adding a full twist on one of the Tkachevs. But this was tremendous and just, bam, don't move.
And not to mention, to finish the competition on this event with that landing is the confidence that you need going into the next few weeks of training, the Olympic trials.
And guys, the only question on Sam Mikulik, well, there were plenty of questions on night 1, but I think at least in part due to that injury.
Absolutely, he had a really bad wrist and also that floating bone chip in his elbow.
So now it comes down to the leader here on vault, Brody Malone. What a week he has had in Fort Worth, and would love to close it out in style.
And he is absolutely more than capable. Same vault we've seen from a whole bunch of people. Akash, Shane Riskus. We just saw a stick from Akash on this vault. Oh, and that was so close also. But there he is. He is the national champion at the senior level. First time welcome to the Big Boys Club.
Unofficially, we'll wait for the number, but he's going to do it. And so much pressure going into night 2. It's one thing to take the senior level by storm, come in and lead after one night, but then everybody's looking at you.
Absolutely, and it's even harder to stay on top when you're already there, everybody chasing you, everybody watching you, the pressure, the nerves, the expectations. And he was able to deliver. Said it at the top of the show, I'm going to say it again. I really can't see an Olympic team at this point without him on it. 2 more days like this at the Olympic trials, you're on your way to Tokyo.
I think a lot of people are going to agree with that statement now. Confirmation on night 2. 14.3, the number for the man who's going to be the new U.S. all-around champ, Brody Malone.
I think I know these things right now.
So the final number here at the national championships for Sam Mikulik, 14.85.
Monstrous number right there from a monstrous routine.
And that is going to move him up, too. We'll see how far. Trevor Howard now, U.S. ring silver medalist in 2019, closing it out here over on this apparatus.
And this is another guy. He thinks that he's in the running for that +1 spot. He's very strong on this event. He had a really, really rough pandemic, though. Contracted COVID and was out for a very long time.
It's been difficult to get back into competition shape since that.
And pretty darn good. Very tricky, as I've said, throughout the night to land in that cross position. It was a little high, I would say 1/10 off. A little bit of bent elbows in the handstand. Just the dismount right here, double-double. A little bit chest down on the landing and a big step forward, but an excellent effort for Trevor Howard. Former Penn State gymnast. Went back home after his college career was over to Ohio. He said it was really great to be able to go home, see mom, and get a home-cooked meal.
Always. Now, Yul Moldauer, remember that fight for second place. We know what Sam Mikulik has done, coming down to a couple of gymnasts, and this is what took place short time ago, parallel bars.
I thought that the score that he was given in night 1 was too severe. I heard Yul talking about it, and he agreed. Beautiful. Giant work. Another tricky element right here. Good fight. Could have taken a step forward on that, but didn't. So nice to look at, just the body line, so clean. Took a step night 1 on this dismount. He can stick it a lot, just like that. Saw some good stuff from Yul Moldauer today.
So 14.8 and into second place. So you've got Malone, you've got Yul Moldauer, and you've got Shane Wiskus still to come. Trevor Howard, 14.25 for his effort on still rings.
Come on. Find it.
So what about second? Shane Wiskus, the man in second after 5 rotations, and comes down to this on high bar. He's 14.6 or better for second.
That's a very big number. He's got a lot of great stuff in this routine. Terry, I think you remember covering him at the 2019 championships. He grabbed the bar with just one hand on one of the release skills and was able to just somehow figure out a way to stay on the bar. Not something you like to do as a gymnast because it can go very, very badly. This is his big release right here. Yeah, and that's a very good decision that he just made right there. Kind of, you ring your bell a little bit. When you do that, your head kind of snaps back, and you have 30 seconds to remount the apparatus after you stand. So he's right there, but just not quite enough rotation. And boy, did you see his head position? He was not looking at the bar at all. I think he thought he was a little bit closer to the bar than he was. He should be seeing it right there, and pretty hard to grab the bar when you can't see it. Do another major release. This one in top to nowhere near. Yeah, I hope he's okay because, you know...
Well, you wonder.
Yeah.
You hope. But also, even beyond that, what's an experience like this do to you as a gymnast?
You know, ending a competition like this is one thing, but now having to finish your routine when you are just... Your head is a little bit all over the place. It's hard to focus. One fall is one thing. Second fall...
I'm just looking for safety. Gonna go again.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that should do it right there. I would say I would definitely advise him.
You know, those mats are not really as soft as they seem to fall like that. It's painful.
And seems determined to get back up on the bar.
Come on, Shane. Grab the bar, buddy. Let's do... Oh, boy, here we go. Trying it again. Nope. Oh, he got it. Wow. Boy. And boy, was he going for it on that. That was gorgeous, but falls the wrong way. I just want him to land safely here. That's...
And the crowd acknowledging the determination.
Well, good for him.
And everybody can kind of take a breath.
Wow.
And Sam McCulloch there as well with the embrace. So they struggle on the final rotation, the high bar for Shane Wiskus, who was in that fight for second. But in the end, he got through it.
He did, but he had 4 falls in that routine,
Yeah.
so the score, you know, it's
Score's secondary. At
yes,
this
it
point.
is absolutely.
Okay, how's the wrist feeling?
So that is it. And what a night, what a week for Brody Malone. We we've really enjoyed his background and talking to him and the rodeo competitions early. He said he took the mental competitor side from that, and now in gymnastics. He's been doing this sport since he was 3 years old as well, but for the first time he's going to be able to call himself a U.S. all-around champ.
And what a year that he has had. He won the NCAA all-around championships earlier this year, back in April, goes on to now becoming a U.S. national champion, just a few weeks away from the Olympic trials.
Yeah, you talk about timing, too. Coming into your own. Peaking at the right time. Got to keep it going. There's no doubt. In a couple of weeks, the Olympic trials. But a whole lot of confidence going into that.
He certainly should. He just stays so even keeled. You never see his emotions get way big or way down even after he has a mistake, and that is a very good, in a lot of ways, unteachable quality to have.
And as you said, not only can't envision an Olympic team without him, certainly after this week, but also I think maybe some excitement now too with a new, not a new face overall, but someone that you didn't know was going to maybe be there, and boy, just taking a lot from this week.
And that's kind of been the talk of the competition, that the selection process, it really is wide open, and that it's great for both sides because you have these up-and-coming athletes that are just making their way to the top, and for more of the veterans, they really need to step up to the plate.
One more to go here. Timothy Wang, the 26-year-old.
Very nice. He is in the service right now for the Air Force, and he's part of the Air Force World-Class Athlete Program. And so he is able to train off campus. He trains at the U.S. OPTC. Really nice young man. Had the opportunity to travel to China with him when he was just a junior. Nice foot twisting double layout.
His dad was a gymnast. That's how he got involved in the sport. Closing out here, night number 2. And with apologies, kind of holding my breath through after the previous routine. Just watching the high bar routines close it out. There is the man, though, the champ here in 2021. Brody Malone, all of. So we wrap up night 2 for the men, and check out our Believe You Will performance presented by Guaranteed Rate. Got to come courtesy of the overall champ. Man, Brody Malone took hold of this event on night 1 and never looked back. Little bit of a bobble early on, but came fighting right back and closed it out in the end to win it for the very first time. Our Believe You Will performance presented by Guaranteed Rate. So he wins it here in Fort Worth, and it's Yul Moldauer. Came right down to the end. And how about Sam McCulloch closing it out with the high bar routine? That was absolutely terrific, and ends up in 3rd place at the end of the night as we send it over to Andrea.
Well, Brody completely crushed the competition in his first U.S. Senior National Championships. I have to ask you what was going through your mind, and describe this moment for us, because you said that you had low expectations for coming in here.
Yeah, I'm just really grateful for everyone that's helped me get to this point. Back when the lockdown first started, it was hard to get in and out of gyms and stuff, so I'm just really grateful to everyone that's helped me out along the way. All the coaches that I've been with back in Georgia and then down in Cyprus, Tom Meadows, and then I can't forget to thank my athletic trainer, Austin. Thanks so much. And then, my coaches at Stanford, Tom and Syke and Mark, and, all my teammates. Tonight started a little rough with P-bars, but I think that was the kick in the butt I needed to get my mind back on track. So,
well, you said that this was your push for the Olympics, if that's your goal. And this was a big
Yes,
step
ma'am.
forward. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Terry?
All right, Andrea, humble, honest, and now very confident after the win. And congratulations. Important night, too, I think, for Sam McCulloch here at the National Championships. Well, a reminder, you can catch a recap of tonight's men's competition tomorrow at 2 Eastern on NBC. And then join us tomorrow night. It's going to be great. 5-time Olympic medalist Simone Biles going for her 7th U.S. championship at 7 o'clock Eastern on NBC. And coming up next here on NBCSN, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. For Nastia Lukin, Tim Daggett, and Andrea Joyce, I'm Terry Gannon saying so long for now from Fort Worth.